The link.
It involves a melding into one, a merging of thought and form, idea and sensation.
You're speaking in riddles.
It's difficult to explain.
Well, I don't know about you, but sign me right up. I'll have what he's having.
All right. Hello, and welcome to The Rules of Acquisition, a podcast where we are going through every single episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. A show that is so many different things and parts and got the head of a lion.
It's a merging of form and function, brain and,
yes.
and thought and existence or something.
Yes, and mythological things and bisexuality, or maybe just being gay. I don't know. Anyways, my name is Wade Bowen, and with me, as always, is James Nolan.
Hey, guys.
And also Hugh Crawford.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. And tonight we're talking about an episode called Chimera. Is the correct pronunciation, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Chimera.
That's the one, yeah. All right.
This is episode 14 of season 7. It originally aired February 17th, 1999. Here is the IMDb description. After searching out and finding Odo, another changeling asks him to leave DS9 with him, even though the rest of the crew aren't convinced the new changeling is not a part of the Founders. And that's it.
Oh.
That's the entire description.
Yeah, I feel like they're convinced pretty quickly that he's not a founder. He's just kind of a dick, but whatever.
There, yeah.
Right. Well, some people don't know the difference.
Fair.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Sex vibes for days, huh?
There's a bit of sex vibes in this.
Right?
Yeah. This one, Ira Stephen Bear says in the documentary, and I even saw him when he was stooging for the documentary on CBS News. He was like, well, the one thing we could have done more is we could have had more gay representation, and we failed. We could have done more there. And he's not wrong. He's exactly right. But this felt like a pretty, for me, overt kind of thing talking about sexuality in a way. I see it come up on some list about Deep Space Nine and LGBT issues a little bit. They're like, well, it's not exactly a gay thing, but there's some pretty clear...
pretty super gay.
Pretty clear correlations to the, yeah.
Yeah. I think I think it's there. I think they're playing with that. I don't think you're wrong. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's a complete, because once you start digging into the themes of the episode, it seems it wants to kind of pull another way.
Yes.
Where it's about like racism and stuff.
Yes, then it's about identity. It really becomes about marginalized identity at one point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I do think that then when it comes back into the love triangle element, it is played out like a love triangle, sort of.
Right.
But then if you follow it all the way to the end, it's that Odo gets a crush on an asshole boy.
Yes.
And Kira realizing that makes them fuck better. So it's a weird sort of theme that way.
I think you summed it up much better than the IMDb could have ever done. I mean, that is exactly what happened.
We gotta go change the IMDb description.
That is 100% what happens.
Well, in my original earlier rewatch, I was like, oh, this is like a kind of a gay story. And then watching it this time, I was like, well, it's more... And I don't think the writers actually were deciding that's what this is, but it feels more like a bisexual kind of coming out thing.
Right.
Or just, I think anything that makes you feel
or
weird.
Or sexuality is fluid, especially when you're literally fluid.
Right. Yeah, right.
It could totally be about being a transvestite, or does that exist?
I don't think that's the word that you...
No, it's not.
Not. What is the word? What is the word? You're right. Thank you for, I really do not, I want to get the word right.
Yeah.
I don't want to accidentally say something horrible. What is it? Crossdresser?
If you're like
you don't want to be a woman, you don't identify as a woman, you just like to wear like.
But you just wear drag?
Yeah,
Like
like
RuPaul's Drag
but
Race?
sexual as a part of your sexual kink.
yeah, cross dress, because then being a drag queen is a whole kind of different
Drag
thing.
is more
Like,
show, is more performance. Like this is more like. Anyway, fucking hey, never mind. I don't.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
let
I
me
don't
pick
feel-
something else where we actually know how to talk about it. God, being white sucks.
yeah, it's really people don't understand what a burden it is to be straight and white and to talk about these things.
Any sort of thing or kink or anybody sort of that furries could watch this, and it's about saying, honey, you're gonna have to
There's some. I love you, but there's this part of me that's me that you can't.
And it is 100% for the most part early on. It is 100% sexual, like in the nature of what their relationship.
Yeah. Oh, it is absolutely. Yeah, because that's what they. Because what the changelings have between each other, the link is hotter than actual sex.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
As Kira finds out.
I guess.
I think that's what
she just dances.
I know.
I mean, she just dances in some Odo gas.
Yeah.
Every time I crop dust the living room, my wife does the same thing.
Well, we all had different kinks, I guess. We're not here to.
It was they didn't tell the graphic designer or whatever the special effects guy exactly what they wanted, and he said that they wanted it to look like, he said they told him they want it to look like something snowing down on them. And I was like, and he was like, nope, not doing that. So he did Aurora Borealis themed glow is what it was.
I'm going to make an executive decision on.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, so they do that, but I feel like a lot of it hinged on that, like once Laas started becoming an asshole to all the crew members, like that seemed to take over it for a little bit. And so I felt like they were going places there too. And especially that scene with Quark.
Oh, yeah.
So do we get the impression that Laas could have been a character just for an entire season and they could have gotten like a lot more mileage out of him?
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, they had a good actor.
If they're going in all these different directions with him, why didn't they just like keep him on for a whole season? I mean, Laas would have been a lot better addition to what they're doing in that world than Vic, right? But what if we had?
Oh no, yeah, most definitely.
What if we had this many Laas episodes instead of Vic? Let's say we had one Vic episode, because we'll give him that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe next week's Vic episode is the one that we give him. And then we have nothing but we have 8 Laas episodes.
That would, I mean, because I think this is interesting. So
Yeah. I feel like they would have ran out of things to do with them real fast.
I don't think so. That's the thing I'm arguing against, because they do 5 different things in this episode.
Yeah.
That if they did each one of those things really well for the span of an episode, you have 5 solid episodes.
I mean, the episode Laas forces them to the episode to admit that humanity is somehow inherently racist, and they just
all humanoids. Yeah.
They just go with that.
Not just humanity.
Well, sure.
Anybody who's a solid. But the metaphor is all humanity.
Yes, yeah. It's just and the show just kind of goes with that.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the opposite of, I mean, say that's right or wrong, you can argue with that, but there
was no debate on that subject.
There is a brand to Star Trek, and one of them is that we were shown how to get over that shit. So it is very weird.
Rationally, but in our DNA, we're grossed out by by weird sex. Wait, no.
I mean, and so I think that this show, I don't know. I just think that everybody knows it's grittier and darker and it challenges the themes, but ultimately we're sort of closing the door and it just sort of comes down as pessimistic in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was in the first script that Echevarria started writing in the pitch, and he says it's his pitch, but then he also says it was horrible, is that at the end of it, Odo is shown how horrible and judgmental humanity is, and it's going to go away with Laas. And Avery Brooks comes in a last-ditch conversation with him, and by using the African American thing says that you're right. Humanity will always be racist and will always be intrinsically racist. And in the pitch, Renee Echevarria said, and Odo was moved by that Sisko would just be that honest. And then so they revised it to this, which I think makes it less, like it puts it in the mouth of Quark.
Yeah.
You know, who's
A part of a monoculture.
Yeah, I mean, because it makes, I mean, to make it like what you just said, where that would make it, I'm not so pessimistic, because it's more like we have this part of ourselves that's not great, but rationally we can fight it. You know, we can be, rationally we can force ourselves to try to appeal to our better angels, right? And there's something like, for me, I mean, maybe that's pessimistic to think that there's always going to be a little bit of darkness in people, but for me, it's like, that's kind of just like, yeah, that's how I kind of view humanity anyways, but I still think that you can appeal to people being better, and even, you know, because you're always having to strive. You can't just just fix everybody and just not have to keep working at it.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, that's a very Protestant ethic, but you know, I don't. I don't. Oh, you know, I don't know if I want to believe that. I don't know. I'm raising 2 kids, and I'd like to think I'm playing a game where if I score a perfect score, my kid cannot be like racist.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
I mean in these inherent intrinsic ways.
Yeah.
Someone that not only isn't, he's cool with black people and whatever.
right. My argument isn't that racism is an inherent, that is a natural state. Because let me just get on the record for saying I don't believe that.
No. It's a viewpoint. I mean,
it is one.
I don't think
But
that
you have to have hope that it's something that you can like overcome.
Yeah, I don't think it's a vile viewpoint. I think it's a bleak viewpoint, and therefore,
So to get more specific, I think racism is different than just like people otherizing people that are different than them.
I'm using that as just a state. Is that because obviously every generation redefines who the in groups and out groups are. So, white people get to decide who's white. And that's why we let the Irish in and they used to not be. And we, Jewish people in and they used to not be. So white people define what white is. So pretty soon black Republicans will be white. They'll get define them that way. But it doesn't.
No, they won't. I mean, I don't. I gotta object to that specific example.
Give it another. Yeah.
They will never. The racists will allow them to use them as props for their own ends, but they will never.
Oh yeah.
I don't.
But you think about like generationally over. So I'm thinking that I'm not saying that like my kid will be, but eventually my kid is going to get someone who he's prejudiced against.
Yeah.
I hate it when the mother is a Peloponnesian, I don't know, whatever people are going to be, like, whatever racist sort of outgroups
furries.
are going to be. Yeah,
like
furries.
furries.
I hate
furries,
fucking furries. And
right.
I get that that's, like, the truth, that there always hit these things where you're like, that's my barrier. But I don't like to think that that's inherent. And I do like to think that is conditional and social. So
yeah.
But this episode kind of just states that and doesn't really challenge it, because how Odo is convinced is that Kira would let him go. It's that Kira loved him that humanity isn't all racist or something.
That is some Dr. Manhattan type shit right there.
Yeah, like just a fake, like
that is. Oh boy.
Because your daddy's an asshole, I see it's all a bit complicated. So I will help you, I guess. But yeah.
I mean, it's all very complicated.
And I like that. I mean, I like that Kira made that decision. I like that, because there's things I like, and that's consistent with Kira. She's not going to pine over a man.
Right.
It could be who you want to be, Odo, but I'm not gonna be in denial about these things. Right. So if you are gay,
right,
goo, or goo or whatever, they go do that, and sort of allowing that
fluid.
If you're it's just gender,
literally,
it's literally gender fluid. Then you can, it's Like, I liked that beat for her.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that turn as a plot. This episode was larded with themes.
This is definitely the most interesting episode we've had in a while, where there seems to be some meat on the bones as far as ideas.
There's a lot of themes.
Did Renee Echevarria finally have a win? Like, because
I think so.
I think so.
I think this is a
so
quality
too.
script. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, there's a lot going on in this episode.
Yeah. We want to just break it down.
We can break it down.
We want to talk about knickknacks and shot from a shopkeeper and regaling.
It's present for Kira.
Oh God, yeah. This is where like the new guy in a relationship shows up the old guy who's been in a relationship a bunch of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
You don't think she'll like it?
go, I'm set in my ways. I don't do anything for my wife. And it's like, whatever. And, you got to let me buy those chocolates from you.
At least they didn't make O'Brien say, when you've been together as long as me, then you don't learn to give a shit about this.
Yeah,
Which is
right.
Exactly. I would say that. But you don't want,
Right.
I get that a character you're supposed to like on a TV show doesn't need to say that.
Right.
I'm just kidding, honey.
Yeah, no, you're a great husband. I know this. I don't know why.
Not really.
No, just tried to. Yeah,
I try.
Sure, we all try, and we all come short. I know I do in my relationships. But anyways, hey, there's a big giant brown fish tadpole, space tadpole flying through the air with like 3 dicks or flagella or some no. And it gets into the vent somehow in the runabout when they're coming home.
Because it can turn into fog.
Oh, right, yeah. But like, how well sealed are the runabouts that it can get through the vacuum of space like that? But whatever. And we learn it's a changeling that's been lost for 200 years or more. I like that he's like, he doesn't call Odo a changeling. He's like, you're one of them metamorphs like me. And like, what?
You are a metamorph. I'm a changeling, yes.
Instead of changelings and solids, it's metamorphs and monoforms.
Yeah.
Then he's like, I was
I
part
love
of...
it when they try to do language differences, even though it drives me crazy. 'Cause it's all
Right,
supposed to be going through a universal translator that would be using the same word. But yes, it's funny. I like it.
Right.
It's wordplay. You can't deny them all the ability.
Oh shit, James, you just got into a nerd corner.
I did. I tripped into a nerd corner.
Oh shit.
I haven't been there in a while.
And he's like, I was part of the CW show. You might have heard of it. It's called The 100.
Oh, yes. The 100.
And then, he's part of The 100 because he's not all infected with the founder disease. And that's like, okay, well. And he's like, I don't want to be part of the Dominion because I don't like violence. Well, he likes violence fine, we learned later on. But it's like, why would I want to conquer? It's better just to avoid the humanoids. Mm-hmm. And so then Odo's like, well, then you should come home with me. And
I like that his face still isn't good, but it's a different kind of looking. It's a different kind of Odo face. I like that. That was fine.
Right.
They didn't.
It's not a shitty human version.
Yeah, they didn't get lazy with it like they do every time they show Sex Grandma.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he was on Valhalla. Yeah. So all these Ahala planets or cities or whatever comes up. Yeah, and he's been 200 years ago, and and they're like, well, maybe I was just lost longer, Odo says, before he found the humans to be with. And
doesn't Odo say he's never met one of the other 100? But didn't he have a goo baby and another?
No, he had a.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like one with a little goo baby.
He had a goo baby.
That was?
Yeah. But we don't know if that was one of the 100. And I thought
that was part of a necklace or something, right?
I think it was a booby trap of some sort.
Yeah. But
it
I guess
But it wasn't. It was like a body, wasn't it? Like in stasis or something. I don't remember. Fuck it. That was like in the first season or something.
It was like a baby. Yeah, it was like maybe third season or something. It wasn't. Yeah, you're right though. It may have been part of the 100, but then I forgot about it, and so did the writers apparently.
Well, he never actually met them. He didn't shake its hand. The thing died before it could.
That's
true.
Yeah.
What if you were aborted, James?
It would have been 101.
But like his pessimism that is from like just the sci-fi, it kind of divergent from the LGBT kind of themes. But he's like, oh yeah, well I've been around longer than you. I've been in love before too with a humanoid, but they die, you get over it, and so his kind of like he's a little condescending, maybe a lot condescending.
A little condescending.
It's like, oh yeah, you're just
Have we even mentioned that Martok? This is Martok.
I don't know. Maybe we mention it next week.
This is Martok, by the way, and he's really yeah. He openly admits that he's trying to do a William Shatner impersonation.
Really?
To make him sound condescending enough.
That's amazing.
That is great.
Yeah. So
That is awesome.
He's like, oh, I hate being like the solids. I try to be like them as little as possible, except when I'm always in this makeup. But I guess he does turn into fog and fire and shit. We learned that he can do different things. But
yeah.
And Laas means changeable, and Odo just means unknown sample.
I tripped in it last time, and I'm going to walk into this. I don't know. I don't really know as a matter how do you replicate fire, because fire is a change of state. It is shift of energy.
Yeah.
It's not a matter. It's not solid.
Right. Yeah.
Fog at least is a matter. It's not,
right.
But it's
that was weird, right?
Yeah, I was just like, that racked my brain for a little bit, and then I was like, well, let's move on.
Holy shit, that's 2 nerd corners you stumbled into, James.
I did. When the episode's good, funk. I think about things.
Yeah. And then when he gets back to the station and he's like, well, here's my apartment. I'm not going to be here. And then Laas is like, you haven't jacked off to this equipment in some time. I was like,
This hasn't been used in some time. I've been busy.
Which means that there's a residue, by the way. Yeah, I can tell you haven't used this in a while. Does that mean that there's an Odo trail or like?
right.
I don't know what that meant, but okay. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I moved on.
Right. He's like, oh, you've been. No, I haven't been here that long. I've been too busy fucking my girlfriend. And he's like, well, me and my humanoid broke up because we couldn't have kids. And Odo's like, oh shit, we haven't had that talk yet. Then they get and they're like, well, do we reproduce? And then Odo was like, well,
it still didn't answer the question. He goes, we just all kind of fuck in a big fuck pile, and then he was like, that sounds cool, and he's like, it's great.
It's totally cool, man.
But then at no point did they explain where more personalities were formed, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't. And then then when they're doing the like, it's easier just to explain it, and then they do the shake hands.
Take it.
It just reminded me of that Batman Superman panel where they from maybe the most homoerotic issue of World's Finest ever, where they shake hands and meet some aliens that look like penises, and then they shake hands, and the panel just says they held it like that for a long time.
I was thinking, you run into one person who's met the rest of your people, and they go, "Well, really? That you've met our people? What do we do?" Get down on your knees. Like, I don't know. Like he just immediately goes to this like sexual sort of thing. And, it was fine if I didn't think about it. But then it was later on, there was like,
but that's like, I think that if they asked, I think the only thing that the founders do or the changelings do is the link. Mm-hmm. So if he asked about like, what's our cooking like, he'd be like, oh, it's great. It's the fucking link. Like, what do you guys like watch for entertainment? Oh, we just watch each other link. It's fucking great. Like, I think everything is the link.
Yeah.
And
does the sexual euphemism sort of supersede it? Like it overtakes it because that's the way they write about it? Like,
I think so. That's my point. Yes. That's exactly my point is like,
they could talk about this in a lot of ways. They're just
right.
only talking about it in one way. Yeah.
Well,
they're only talking about it in one way.
Yeah.
I loved it when later on when he's introducing Laas to the friends. I think it's maybe the next scene, and they he's an asshole.
Or where they're all in the bar.
Yeah, and he's like an asshole.
And she's like, what'd she say? I always want to learn how to fly out. And what's it like to be? And he's like, too bad you can't, bitch.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I guess it's too bad. Yeah.
Right.
But then as they're leaving, he goes, why would you mean to him? He goes, hey, fuck him. Anyway, let's do this. Like, right here.
Yeah.
He's like,
Right here,
anyway,
the-
get your pants down, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's like, but what? Yeah.
Why are you still dressed, Odo?
Oh, yeah, where he wants to do it right in the promenade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should play Why Don't We Do It in the Road?
That we should.
No one will be watching.
Everyone will be watching. No, that,
It's, yeah.
yes, but I don't remember all of the nasty ass things he said to our space friends.
Well, he's like, they're like, well, we trust Odo. And it's like, well, okay. It's like, yeah, of course you trust Odo. You've made him your bit. Or, you know,
Yes, he does. Of course, you made him think it's one of you. Like,
yeah. As limited as you are is something he says too. It's like, and then Ezri and Julian are making a joke. It's like, oh yeah, you caught on to our evil plan, and I thought that was a funny little bon mot they had. But then Kira's like, it's not funny. It's like, okay,
yeah, I see.
It's almost as if it's personal for her.
Yeah,
yeah, almost.
A little different. Yeah, okay. So I do think is this where he goes into the little monologue about how humanity always fucking destroys higher forms, always destroys
Right.
like the natural form, the smaller forms.
It's always that way where humanoids thrive. They disrupt the natural balance.
Who ordered the film steak?
Like watching this on a day where the UN just said that there's like this million of like endangered species that they've that are being endangered by climate or whatever the number is that are being endangered by climate change and shit like that. And it's one of those things where you read it and you just go, maybe humanity is just incompatible with. I mean, that's a stunning indictment, and I don't think he's wrong. Laas is not wrong. Let's put it that way.
Right.
The science is on Laas's side, and so so that put me in a state where they're not like. I don't like it when extreme viewpoints are sort of shuttled about as they're being belittled because they're strongly felt, and that's fine. I get that that's a punching bag thing that they do on this, in a lot of times, especially even liberals do it. Like, hey, just fucking calm down. Hey, Cesar Chavez, just fucking sit down. Everything's not a fucking crisis. And I feel like that's sort of the tone that they took with Laas through this episode, and I feel like he is making he's landing punches. Like he's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like he's not wrong. He's never at any point refuted on like these things that he makes. But it's just kind of like you're not wrong, Laas. You're just kind of an asshole,
Right.
And
Right.
And I get like what's Odo supposed to take away from that? Like we hate you and you're scared by you and don't really want you to fuck our friends, but you're a good one, but.
Yeah, one of the good ones.
Yes, but I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want a changeling joining in my country club, or
Right.
And that's fine. Like it seemed like it was. I don't know. It was a weird. I get that they were doing it because it's an effective way to write a character overstepping like that and making a legitimate threat to Kira and Odo, but it just seemed like ultimately. He's kind of right, and they don't really help him address that. So
Yeah. You humans haven't attained the next level where your consciousness exists separate from your form, which is almost a trope in Star Trek where you have these advanced human aliens that are not like they're space gods basically. And the founders are almost one step further across to pure consciousness space gods.
Yeah. Like I guess isn't that? It's Buddhism.
Oh yeah, they go to the well a lot on that.
Yeah, that's Buddhism.
Yeah.
So I guess so they're using like a popular sort of.
Right.
Yeah. It is that.
Right.
Yeah. It seems, but at least there's I don't really understand where on a materialist level how humanity or how formed beings are supposed to attain.
Yeah, I don't.
Form. I can't make my body goo. You know, like, so I don't know.
Transhumanism.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm supposed to experience the thought and merger of thought and form or whatever.
Right.
But,
Yeah, I don't either. But yeah, because we're weak and solid and yeah, we already mentioned when he's like, "Get your dick out and let's do it here on the promenade."
yeah, they even have to send Quark in to do like a solids pep talk. Like, I'm not gonna let this go by without making a defense of the solids. We're racist because snakes. Like,
right.
And they even have like I don't know. It's just weird. I liked it though. These are good ideas. These are where the show should be. Like, these are the conversations the show should be at.
Yeah.
So
You're saying it should be a show about ideas.
it should be a show about ideas, and it should also. You're right. I mean, your idea that this could go over multiple episodes.
Yeah.
In the way that Garrick's complex and interesting personality and viewpoint on the world. It was sort of fleshed.
They wandered ass backward into an interesting situation and an interesting character. They just pissed it away for one episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
And after we've had the 8 like Vic episodes, 8 Esri looks distressed episode, like we had these, and like you could be doing stuff with this, and this is like, and this builds on like, this is the thing, and I'm made a big deal about them breaking Odo and never really fixing him, and this is kind of working with that.
Yeah.
And so this is because I always said in that, like when I was making that case, I said that it actually, once you find out that he is a founder and they want to make the element that he is called to them, that he is like a puppy that wants to play in that park, because that's what, it's a puppy who's been around cats his whole life and he wants to go play with puppies now. Like, that was interesting. And if Odo had went with the founders, that would have been super interesting, which I think was their point.
Right.
That's what Moore was wanting to do with it. That would have been really interesting. It's just that they didn't. So, that left them nowhere to go. And so they're trying to do something with it.
Right. This episode feels like, it's a one-off kind of thing, but also if you are trying to bridge, like, this is kind of, you can see this as a point on Odo's arc to how he gets to where he gets at the end of the show, possibly. But
because we always talk about how the founders are space gangsters. It gives a representative that's Odo, or of the same of Odo, of shape-shifting, but not a space gangster yet.
Right.
So it's such from a storytelling mechanic, you could have done a lot of like real work with his character, building the fiber to where you're going at the end.
Yeah, because his whole thing, he's like, "Hey, Odo, come with me. We won't go to the Dominion. We're going to start a new link. We're going to find the 100,
he actually even has a little plan.
Yeah.
I like that even with Odo, he's like, yeah, they sound like assholes. Like, right. So Laas isn't unreasonable.
Yeah, like,
he's wary, he's guarded, he's not wrong. And so, like, I felt like at some point the episode just kind of treated him like a villain, like a little villain.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And I think Laas deserved more than that.
Right. Because he's trying to tell Odo, like, hey, man, like, don't be a normal. Don't let these people tell you that you need to be like them. Let yourself, be out, basically. Be proud of yourself.
Yeah, this does come, like, on the... you go think back at the 90s and not just, like, that was, like, the true... like Angels in America, all of those movies that were out about this, all of the, the sort of the mass entertainment culture really sort of rallying around AIDS and telling AIDS stories in that time. And it was sort of a language that got in there. And yes, I'm out proud, like we're out of the closet and into the streets and I'm proud, get used to it. Like that is echoed in this episode. So yeah.
Totally. Jumping ahead with Quark tells him, like, we're not going to have any fucking changeling pride parades in the promenades. Like,
oh my God, he does say that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is no time for a changeling pride demonstration on the promenade.
Oof.
Yeah. And so that's the thing is I think that's fine that Quark says that. I just think like when you quote that so closely, like you have to address it. It has to have a counterpoint, and I just feel like this episode kind of just didn't, because it wanted to get to the character stuff, which is interesting. So I don't fault it that way, but yeah.
Yeah. And then the fact that like Kira's like, well, do you want to go off with them, don't you? And he's like, well, no, I don't really. And he's like, look, I joined with you. I know that part of you does. And Kira realizes that that's the same thing too. And it's like, going off is very alluring, but I'm happy. To him, not to me. And she's like, I'm sorry I can't link with you, Odo. Like, I wish I could and I love you, but I know that I can't do this thing for you.
Okay, can we?
And he's literally flaming when he goes in to see.
Oh yeah.
Laas,
I didn't think about that. I bet they didn't think about that either.
I didn't. Yeah, that just occurred to me as I was saying it too. I was like, that probably was.
So linking, and I mean, I hate to. We got to talk about some alien genitalia here for a minute. Okay. So this ultimately culminates in Rene Aubergenois goo handing.
Oh yeah, goo handing.
Goo handing Kira, and then she orgasms.
That's been a thing since the first time Odo got laid in that one episode to the blonde lady.
Sure.
So am I supposed to believe that she's been fucking a changeling for a year now, and she ain't ever said, a little more, like she ain't ever said punch it in, like did he never he never shifted? I have to ask this. I'm just saying at some point he shifted during sex.
Oh yeah.
And if that makes her orgasm from the gooping, that happened already. It just had to have. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Their sex should be I hate to bring up the Orville, but it did goo sex with Cassidy Yates actually.
Yes, they did.
Where she's just in a big puddle of goo, having a great time.
Wrapped around her genitalia. And I assume that that's what they're going to do from this point on.
Right.
But I can't believe that they didn't do some function of that before, even if he is uncomfortable being goo around her.
I mean, he gooed on her back when he was giving her a back massage. He was like, yeah, you like that, right?
Yeah, why doesn't that do they do a different thing to come? Is there normal goo fisting, and then there's sexual goo fisting?
There you go again. I think that it's the same goo for everything. I think when they come, it's goo. Whenever they cough and have a little bit come up, it's goo.
Yeah.
I think it's,
But why did it make her come?
Because it's a dumb TV show. I don't know what to tell you. I think that's the exact reason why.
Yeah. Go to the Slash archives that just won a Hugo or whatever it was, and then you can find it. An archive of her own or whatever it is. I'm sure it's in there.
I just feel like this. Yeah. Okay. I am happy that she can see Oda. I mean, I don't know. I like the sexual stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's
Sure.
I had questions. I had some technical questions.
Yeah, we all. Yeah, it's not. Go ahead and ask. It's not offensive until it is. Yeah.
Where is the goo clitoris? No. Okay.
Yeah. And then, but to your points that they could have milked this out. Laas is like, all right, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And then Odo is like, no, thanks. You should stay a little bit longer. I mean, I know you're going to leave and I'm going to stay, but maybe we should try to make this polytriad work for a little bit longer before you go out. And,
yeah. That should have been an issue. Why can't he be I don't know. No, they shouldn't ever have that poly.
I mean, Kira, I thought they addressed, she's like, yeah, I am a little bit jealous. Cause he's like, oh, it's not cause she's like, you were with him, you linked with him.
He linked with you.
Yeah. And she's like, should I be? She's like, no, it's kind of a sex thing, isn't it? And he's like, well, kind of. I forget what he says exactly.
I mean, when you have a guy only talking about it at all, it can either be heroin or sex. It can't,
Yeah.
When you're leaving a bar and the first thing he says, "Get your pants off."
Right.
Lick with me. Lick with me.
She's like, well, it's kind of an intimate thing, yeah, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the third act kind of kicks off with he's being Fog, all in the children in Fog on the promenade, and then they're like, oh, the environmental systems are all fucked up, and it's like, no, it's damn, we can't go to the Alamo for our gay subtext. And then and they're like, no, it's him, and then the Kavak, the Klingons, and look at the hate in his eyes.
Mine's bigger.
Oh, yeah, then he gets, and then he kills that motherfucker. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, catcha. But and then he's kind of like, okay, he's a wild beast, kind of like, oh.
They do the Marvel Cinematic Universe cliche with the swords that come out from nowhere thing.
Yeah,
Mine's bigger.
He says, but then the hate's in his eyes. Well, then the stench would still be on them, or whatever. And
Your hands are stained with the blood of Klingon warriors.
But then the stench would still be on them.
Yeah, smokes him.
Yeah, you call that a knife? This is a knife.
And then the Klingon screams no.
And then
No.
oh yeah.
The other one,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
which he doesn't, which is sort of surprising.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he would scream something in Klingon.
Right.
I didn't think that. Yes. That was pretty half thought out.
Yeah.
You're grief-stricken,
Yeah. Right.
so you scream out, and
No, yeah, he goes, no. And so they're,
I don't know. They're always
yeah, they don't,
Yeah.
they're not putting, I almost think this episode's good on accident. Like, I think that, like,
that's possible.
I think this was supposed to be the sling of movie, whatever. These are the things that we need to do to kick it off, to kick the 10-part ending off. And, like, this one was pretty good. But I don't know if they put a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just two guys talking in a room.
It was a lot
It's
of
an actor they already know. He's already in the system. They already know how to route the checks to his bank.
right. They already had his tax forms.
Yeah.
Well, and they really didn't care about the special effects. Like, they didn't have that. Like, they just told the guy to, like, come up with something on his own.
Yeah, make it look like it's snowing on her, and he's like, no.
No. Yeah, and then he's like,
Like white spray coming out of the goo. No. Like,
no, I'm gonna help you out here and see. I'm gonna do something different.
yeah.
He basically asked Odo, like, when was the last time you spent any of your FX budget on actually changing in anything? It's like, I've been busy fucking my girlfriend.
Oh yeah, he does. Yes, so great.
Yeah. I looked up Klingon for no, and why he said no, it's because if he yelled out, "Go Bay!" it would have sounded weird. I don't know.
Or just that scream they do.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The camera shuts down on them. Their little mouths.
Then Quark has the whole talk of like, you're smart enough, unlike him, to know that people don't want to be reminded that you're different. It's gross. Nobody wants to see that. It's like, and then it's like, okay, episode.
I don't mind you being gay, but why you got to talk about it all the time?
Yeah, right. Which is not.
It's like all you talk about is that you're gay.
Why you gotta shove it down my throat? I'm sorry.
I mean, I would be fine with you, but you just won't shut up.
I'm just worried about what the other people. I wonder. I worry about what other people are going to say, and I'm afraid for you that it's going to make your life more difficult.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Quark, Mom. Sorry.
Our podcast sometimes verges into therapy.
It's like, no.
What do you guys think? Where are we on this? Are we going to get into the rewatch meter or what?
Then Changeling Pride, then we tolerate you because you emulate them, and then he gives like, that's not you, that's only a mask. Confessions of a mask. Fear turns to hate in a blink of an eye, and
This
this is just a form I borrowed.
is what you have always chosen to be. A man.
Yeah.
A good and honest man.
Part of me wishes that Laas and I were out there right now searching for the others, existing as changelings. Because that's what I am. Not a humanoid. I'm a changeling.
Very much we're here.
I think he's supposed to be probably Larry. I don't know if it was based on this, but based on Larry Kramer, who was the head of ACT UP, who was like a very loud, like this guy. And I don't know. It would be interesting to know if that was the If Larry Kramer was, I think Larry Kramer's cool.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that's what they were basing it on. Because, I mean, like he was the Lars of the movement.
Yeah.
He wasn't, no niceness, just vitriol.
Right. And then he's being held, and then instead of Odo doesn't go to save him because he's going to be sent off to the Klingons to run for go on trial because the Klingons, which they even point out, like, wouldn't the Klingons like not be whiners about this? The guy died in battle, and they're like, no, the Klingons are pissed because obviously this guy wasn't actually. He could have turned into mist, and the Klingons weren't going to hurt him, but he just killed a fucking Klingon. And Sisko is right in that. Like, yeah, he kind of, he did break.
I don't know. Like, what's I don't know. I thought that was like a little weird because it was like the Klingons are pressing charges because you whooped their ass. And even though I think you're right that you didn't have to whoop their ass, but I don't think that's no reason not to. He was being challenged. Like, a Klingon realizes that. He challenged, like, he was the one that says, get the fuck out of here, you fucking mist bastard. So that was a challenge, so he rose to the challenge and whooped his ass. I don't know. I thought that was but that was fine. It ups the stakes, and I didn't want to move it on, so.
Yeah. Sure. Like, Sisko's dilemma was like, look, man, I got to do this. Like, and then Odo's being like a real, like, Kira's like, you're not really trying to pretend at all that you're not happy this guy escaped, because Kira goes in and, if you love something, set it free, and tells Laas to go to the third planet of the Corrales system, and they're going to find an orbital tether to an abandoned mining complex and wait there, and and then Odo's going to come find you, and the guy's like, gee, he does, when Kira does that, he does have a little bit of like, maybe all you solids aren't all irredeemable kind of moment, but and then he goes off
and they fuck like they've never fucked before.
Oh, Kira and Odo?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was a wobbly need for like the next day and a half.
Right. That last time in, and then Odo's like, okay, but I'm not gonna leave you because you did this big thing. It shows how much how much you love me, and maybe that's the point or something, that it's harder to really feel. But yeah, because he goes back to good old KV to find Laas, and
I do love that it's just sitting there, so that's where they shot it.
Yeah.
In a cave.
Yeah, and they're like, you have no idea how to love someone enough to let them go, and then Laas is like, yeah, love conquers all. Is that it? And yeah, I'm like, yeah, my eyes are rolling a little bit too. But then, love compared to the link, it's a pale shadow. It's a feeble attempt to compensate for the isolation that we all feel because we're trapped within ourselves, which is true. We're all trapped in our own minds to an extent, and we don't, you never actually fully know what's going on in somebody else's head. So, to an extent, we're all of them.
I don't feel like this is where, like, they talk about the disease, right?
They mentioned it early on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a low priority in this episode. That just occurred to me.
It's a goof.
It's kind of...
It's listed as a goof. The changeling Laas most likely died of the degenerative disease that was killing the founders.
Yeah.
Odo linked with them, as he did with the female founder, and transmitted the disease. He found out later from Dr. Bashir that it was deliberately done to him by Section 31.
Oh, right. So there should be, like, once he finds out,
Odo fucking killed this guy. He smoked him off.
Well, I think I read that in a book. They say that he made it to this is way spoiler talk, but he makes it to the link after the finale.
Okay.
Yeah. So he gets the yes, he gets the good blood. Yeah. So, yeah. But, like, I just, like, they were all kind of, like, for, like, the founder pride shit, they were all kind of unconcerned about, like, yeah, that's a thing where I don't know if they're...
Right. Well, they couldn't bring up the disease in this episode without spoiling the reveal that we get later.
They can, that they're all dying from a disease. It seems like that would bother Odo, wouldn't it?
They did bring that up in the episode enough.
I know.
Where he's like...
He
says, I know he's not a founder because he doesn't have the disease. And then part of the reason to run off with me, Odo, is that we can start our own link free of the disease.
Right.
And start something
Yeah, that's
new.
what I'm saying. Like, it just seems like they would be like this guy that's like all hot for fucking founders would be like I gotta like figure this out. I've gotta like they're all gonna die. Yeah. Well, that sucks. But we can start anew, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, because Odo has said, I don't want to be part of the founders, and he's convinced this guy that he doesn't want to be part of the founders too.
Yeah.
And yeah.
No,
I did like at the end where he's like, oh, sorry, I'm not going off with you. But, we can have one last little fuck, right? He holds his hand out to shake his hand, and Laas doesn't take it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that, where he's like,
You don't get.
One last time, you're going to need it more than I. And he's like, nah, man.
If you can't goop with me at my word, if you don't get to goop with me at my whatever image, you don't deserve me at my
At my solidest.
At my solidest.
You don't deserve me at my goopiest.
Yes.
So dumb. I do feel like this is a good episode on accident, though.
I started that. Yeah, I think that it got where the themes worked really well, and then yeah. Now that once we started talking about this, I was like, the idea that if this was introduced earlier, and like if Lars stayed on for a while, that would have been a real. Yeah, it's a tragedy that this idea wasn't had way before now.
Yeah, right. Well, if they had scrapped most of the Odo-Kira relationship and just replaced it with the Laas.
No, he's just a guy on the, like, he's a problem. He's like, it's not like you would treat it thematically like it's not like Kira and Odo broke up, but like,
right.
An old college friend is now sleeping on their couch or something. And like, it's just a tension.
Uh-huh.
And then he's always working on Odo to like be, I don't know. That's the thing is that no one, and I don't want to overthink this, but like no one's really showed Odo a way to be like a true, like he's either got all of the solids or he's got the space gangsters. And this is a way that he can like find a middle way where this is what being a goo person, but not an asshole goo person means.
Right.
Yeah. And so they didn't ever find that path for him, which is that's like the centrist happy middle, right? That's the compromised life for him. So they should have at least explored that a little bit. And that's what they did in this episode. But it was like, you just realize how all the problems with this episode is because there's too much. Like, spread this shit out. It's more interesting if you spread, So, this is Game of Thrones season 7 and 8. Well, 7. 8's not even that interesting.
Yeah,
but yeah, so.
Yeah, this is better than that, right?
Yeah.
So far. Yeah.
So no, I'll give this a 10. I think this is and I had a fun time watching this.
On your rewatch meter, it's a 10.
Yeah, I like.
You will most definitely watch this one again.
Mm-hmm. I like Herzl in it.
Yeah, I was actually. I'm at a 7, which is pretty high for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll fuck up and watch this episode. So yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna put it in an 8, but maybe a 9.
Oh, I gotta erase that 9 then. 8 then.
Oh no, you.
No, it's all right. No, I got my pencil out. It's no big deal.
No, right. Keep it at go back to 8.
All right.
Wait.
Yeah, because yeah.
Do you still have your?
Well, I can easily make this 9 into an 8.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, an 8.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Wait, are we doing 11s? Can you do an
11? All right. What do you guys think the good people of IMDb think of this episode?
This could be interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, 7.6.
Do we think that Wade's mom logged on to photos?
No, mine.
No, I'm just going by what you said a minute ago. I'm not accusing your mom of shit. I'm just playing off the joke you said. So.
Yeah, my mom's very accepting now of my lifestyle.
No,
having a child out of wedlock. No.
Oh yeah, how is that? Yeah, never mind. That's no. That's not here. 7. What did you say? Wait.
7.6.
Oh, fuck. That's a good stake. I'm going to go 7.4.
Oh, it's a 7.3. 865 votes. So, yeah.
See, my instinct was to go over, but I went under.
Yeah, so was mine. I was like 7. Oh, you should have gone. Oh, nope. You did
Yeah,
right.
7.3.
Yeah. All right. Next week, we have a episode about Mike Starr and all the things that Mike Starr does.
Oh,
I got a feeling that we'll be going through Mike Starr's whole filmography, or a good chunk of it.
A good chunk.
That's
maybe.
just a little prediction.
I don't. How can you make that kind of judgment?
Well,
I
it's a bold prediction, but you should join us next week as we unpack the greatness of Mike Starr.
Yes.
Wade, do you want to give the people the information if they want to find us and stuff?
Yeah. Find us out there, floating among the stars, and the 100
merging thought and form together.
Yeah, and consciousness, all is one. Get high with us. Give us a call at 917-408-3898, or find us on Twitter at Kickers Podcast, kickersofelse.com, or at that sweet Patreon, which is the best place to find all sorts of additional content from us and keep up on what we're doing. And yeah, do all the stuff that every other podcast wants you to do.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining us for another episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We hope you come back next week as we go